Hi, my name is Ben, and I've seen a lot of movies this year. Over 50 to be exact, and that's not counting movies I watched at home or movies I rewatched. And when you've watched that many movies, sometimes you just want to make a list of the best ones. Now, keep in mind that these are my favorite movies of the year, so just remember that this is all based on my personal preference and not necessarily on which movies are objectively the best. I also haven't seen every single movie that's come out this year, so if one of your favorites isn't on the list, I may have just not had the chance to watch it yet. Anyways, without further ado, here's my top 10 favorite movies of 2018. Number 10, Ready Player One. Ready Player One is the most fun I had at the theater all year. There's a part of me that wanted to slap it up at number 1 just because of how much of a blast this movie is. While far from a perfect movie, this movie made me feel like I did when I was 10 years old, constructing elaborate action sequences in my head with my favorite action figures, indiscriminate of what franchise or toy line they were from. The Iron Giant fighting Godzilla? Sure, why not? An amazing death race with a T-Rex and King Kong trying to smash the DeLorean from Back to the Future? Of course. This movie has narrative flaws, some weak characters, some boring subplots, but dang, if Steven Spielberg isn't still the master of thrilling action adventure. In any other filmmaker's hands, the Oasis would look ugly, rubbery, and fake. But Spielberg milks every set piece for everything it's worth, and honestly, I hope Spielberg makes a few more action movies before he's done, because my inner child needs a few more movies like this. Number 9. Creed 2. When I heard they were making a sequel to Creed, I couldn't help but groan. Great, we're going down the same road as Rocky, an amazing emotional underdog boxing story followed by a train of bland and forgettable sequels. But then I heard that the villain would be Victor Drago's son. Okay, this could be interesting. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt and was shocked at how good this movie is. In some ways, it may be even better than the first. It delves into themes of family and legacy, not just for the heroes, but for the villains. Adonis gets an emotional character arc, but so does Rocky, and so do the Dragos. And the ending of this movie legitimately got me choked up. So yeah, if you like Creed, check this one out. It's great. Number 8, Black Clansmen. If I had to pick one movie to win the Oscar this year, I'd probably pick this one. Partially because the Oscars don't think blockbusters and thrillers are real movies, but more importantly, this is a great movie. By and far, Spike Lee's best in years. This movie has a unique, poignant, and hilarious premise. Adam Driver gives one of the best performances of the year, and John David Washington proves that he has all the acting chops of his old man. This movie is hilarious, thought-provoking, heartbreaking, and so good that David Duke himself said he liked the movie. Yeah, the movie about how awful the KKK is actually liked by the head of the KKK. Probably just a PR move on his part, but this movie is so good that I'd honestly believe it. Number 7, A Quiet Place. In an industry filled to the brim with endless prequels, sequels, and reboots, A Quiet Place stands as one of the few that's not only an original idea, but it's an original idea. As in, this movie isn't based on anything, and it has a concept that I've never seen done before. The film's use of silence is amazing. You literally could have heard a pin drop in my theater. Usually, me and my friends exchange whispered comments, observations, and jokes while watching movies, but when my buddy leaned over to say something to me, I reflexively smacked him in the face. I wasn't trying to be mean, but this movie was so tense, so quiet, I didn't want the spell broken. By and far the best horror thriller of the year. Number 6, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. How is it possible that Sony could so thoroughly screw up everything Spider-Man, only to turn around and create this masterpiece? I am so very grateful we live in a time where comic book movies are mainstream enough that we can get a movie like this. A movie that takes the weirdest and most obscure bits of comic book lore and throws them into a blender. You want a good Miles Morales origin story? Check. You want classic Spider-Man facing off against his greatest foes, quipping the whole time? Check. How about Noir Spider-Man? Or Spider-Ham? Or anime? Check, check, and check. This movie is brilliant. Beautiful animation, a fantastic story, and some of the most hilarious moments I have seen on screen all year. Nicolas Cage's Noir Spider-Man delivering lines like Humphrey Bogart is by and far one of my favorite things ever. Heck, even the post-credits scene is amazing. Unique, exciting, and spectacular. Number 5, 3 Identical Strangers. I'm not the biggest fan of documentaries. I like them, they can be good, even great, but I just don't typically seek them out. Let's face it, if I'm given the option between a really good documentary or a really great narrative, I'll usually go with the narrative feature. With that being said, 3 Identical Strangers blew my mind. Wow, this movie is amazing. When I heard about it, I just thought it would be an interesting little story about adult triplets separated at birth, rediscovering each other. You know, cute. I did not expect this movie to shock me. I did not expect to have my jaw drop, like actually drop open, not once, but twice. This true story has twists like that of a thriller. I was unprepared for how amazing this movie would be. It can be hilarious, it can be disturbing, it can be sad, and it's fascinating. It's everything you could ever want out of a movie, documentary or otherwise. Even if you don't like documentaries, take my word for it, check this one out, and go in as blind as possible. Number 4, Mission Impossible: Fallout. Best action movie of the year, by and far. Honestly, the best action movie in years. I honestly don't have a ton to say about this movie other than that. Tom Cruise's stunts are still unbelievable, the directing is fantastic, Henry Cavill is great, it's a well-written movie despite the fact that they were shooting with an unfinished script, and the emotional payoff of Ethan and Julia's story was really effective. It's my new favorite Mission Impossible movie, and one of my favorite movies of the year. Number 3, Black Panther. Dang, this movie is so epic. If you haven't guessed by now, I like big movies. Large in scope, setting, story, and character. And boy, did Black Panther check all those boxes. Parts of this movie felt like a superhero movie, but other parts felt reminiscent of a Lord of the Rings style epic. The villain is compelling and sympathetic, the supporting cast is strong, and the world that they created feels real and lived in. Really, my only complaint about the movie was some of the CGI in the last act was not very good. And I have another video about that you can check out if you'd like to hear more. But other than that, Black Panther is a masterfully made movie that had me looking forward to returning to Wakanda again and again. Number 2, Won't You Be My Neighbor. Remember that thing I said about not liking documentaries? Yeah, well, here's one as my second favorite movie of the year. This movie is such a beautiful look at a man who really lived a life of kindness and grace. It showcases the amazing person that Fred Rogers was without making him out to be a saint either. And listen, I don't cry at movies. Ever. Like, ever. I might get a little misty-eyed or a little choked up, but I very rarely cry. And this movie had me sobbing. Twice. Man, tears just flowing down my face. I was just so incredibly moved by Roger's love and kindness to those around him. It's a truly inspiring film about a truly inspiring man that I hope might inspire people to extend kindness to those around them. Honorable mentions. And my number 1 pick for best movie of the year is Avengers Infinity War. Yes, Infinity War. Because this movie is a masterpiece. I don't think people quite understand the incredibly massive undertaking of a film like this. The sheer amount of money, time, people, and effort to bring a movie this gargantuan to the big screen. This movie is an accomplishment. Some people complain that it's just not a real movie because you couldn't follow it without seeing the other Marvel movies. Some people say it's only half a movie because of the massive cliffhanger. But I say those are the reasons it's great. This is episode 19 in the longest running franchise ever made, and it pays off all 19 movies beautifully. I love how well they juggle all of these characters. I love how menacing Thanos is. I love the amazing visual effects. I love the incredible set pieces. And I love the fact that the Avengers lose. Sure, they'll probably come back with Endgame and everything will be undone, but in that moment, that ending was a punch to the gut. People in my theater were literally yelling "no" at the screen. It's so immensely satisfying to see all these characters we've become so invested in the same movie bouncing off each other, only to have that brutally ripped away at the end. This is Marvel's Empire Strikes Back, and in my opinion, it's the best movie of the year. Anyways, that's my top 10 favorite movies of the year, but feel free to comment below and let me know what your top 10 favorite movies were. And I just want to say thanks for watching this past year. If you'd like to see what I'm up to in the next year, feel free to click that subscribe button in the middle, or click on any of those videos there on the side if you want to check out more of my stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 2019.